Ah yes, romance movies. Remember those? I'm not talking about rom-coms, I'm talking about romances. Love stories that could sweep both the box office and the Oscars. These romances transported us to another time and place. Their historical settings made them feel sort of magical, but although we couldn't see the exact same thing happening to us, we could see it happening to someone somewhere in history. Around 2010, culture shifted. Not only did romance movies start disappearing, but love scenes started disappearing from non-romance movies as well. To put it in perspective, every single Lethal Weapon movie had a love scene, and that was the highest grossing action franchise of the 1980s. Meanwhile, the characters in Marvel movies barely even kiss. The going theory is that intimacy was stripped from Hollywood blockbusters to give movies more bankability in countries with conservative standards of romance. Meanwhile, TV got hotter and hotter. Queer romances stepped up to fill the void. Romance novels became bestsellers, and fanfiction exploded. Twilight and its grown-up fanfiction 50 Shades of Grey set the standard for romance movie that we are currently living in. They're both basically the same story. A supernaturally beautiful and privileged man takes an interest in a plain Jane and transforms her humdrum life into something spectacular. Together, they must overcome obstacles. Like, what do you do when your boyfriend's stalker breaks into his penthouse mansion and threatens to kill you? Or what happens when an ancient order of vampire police single out you for their personal inquisition? That happens to me all the time. But like, vampires aren't real and most billionaires aren't that nice or handsome, so these are not like realistic standards for romance, right? Then boom, we got Edward Cullen for real, and his name was Harry Styles. The amount of mainstream media based on Harry Styles would shock you. There's the movie After, and I just found out there's 5 of them. There's the sitcom Happy Together, which was executive produced by Harry Styles. And then there are the romance movies starring actual Harry Styles, such as Don't Worry Darling and My Policeman. And now there's The Idea of You, not to be confused with Anyone But You, Down to You, or just plain You. Honestly, sometimes I think they want us to forget these movies. And The Idea of You, the pitch is, what if Harry Styles dated a mom? I kind of enjoyed watching it, and I'm glad they made it because I do think that we need more romance in mainstream media. However, I do think the romance that we do get should just be better. I thought The Idea of You was fine. I just thought that it could have been better, been more romantic, been more believable, and connected even more with its core audience, who I assume is millennial women with similar traits as the main character. The author of The Idea of You has a different idea about to what extent her novel is fan fiction, but I think we can all agree the development staff of the movie had images of One Direction plastered to all 4 walls and the ceiling of their vision boards. I want to acknowledge that the Harry Styles in this video and in these stories isn't the real Harry Styles. It's the idea of Harry Styles, the character of Harry Styles. A handsome English pop star who can light up your world like nobody else. For the purposes of this video, just know that when I say Harry Styles, I mean the character Harry Styles, not the actual person. The beginning and end of The Idea of You are totally ridiculous. We don't even get the main character's first name until 15 minutes in. It's Solène, but I'm gonna call her Anne. Anne and fake Harry Styles, aka Hayes, have the ugliest meet cute ever. He buys all the ugly white girl art at her Silver Lake studio that's actually in Georgia but looks like it's in Venice Beach. And then Anne lets Hayes cross all her boundaries and he flies her around the world on a private jet. Meanwhile, Anne's daughter, who could be anywhere from 14 to 25 years old, is away at a theater camp that literally looks exactly like the summer camp from The Parent Trap. The Idea of You is all set up to just be another streaming romance with terrible graphics and half-assed writing. But somewhere near the end of the first act, Anne Hathaway gives a monologue, and you remember, oh shit, she is an actual Oscar winner. Something in this movie, probably Anne Hathaway, wants The Idea of You to be like The Notebook. And then the movie hits its stride for about 20 minutes. There's amazing outfits, real chemistry, kisses in the rain, candlelit dinners. And then first, Anne Hathaway looks in the mirror and pretends she doesn't see a literal Valentino spokesmodel. Then the other girlfriends give her some arbitrary shit for being old and wearing a denim muumuu, and Anne feels like maybe she's not that special. She gets worked up about some non-event with another girl at another concert and leaves Europe to skulk in her cottage where her ex-husband's new wife is lingering around like a lost puppy, trying to tell Anne that her bitch ex-husband is a total scrub and she's leaving him too. Go home, Meredith, no one cares. Then a paparazzi photo leaks and Anne and Hayes are forced to go public with their relationship even though they've already broken up. The other kids bully the daughter because her mom is too hot, but this actress really pulls it off. I do really feel bad for her. It seems really hard. And then Harry and Anne do this Daisy Jones thing where they're like, life is so crazy right now. Try again in 5 years. And then 5 years later, Anne is crying on the couch and he winks at her from TV and shows up at her gallery, and on a Wednesday in a cafe, you'll watch it begin again. Oh, and also throughout the film, Anne is wearing this incredible Charlotte Gainsbourg wig, and at the end she has her normal hair, and Harry Styles looks like this. What? Stop, no. The Idea of You is based on the novel by Robin Lee. Also, once I found out Robin Lee was a Black woman, I was like, what? I don't think there's a single Black female character in this entire movie. So I don't think Robin Lee had very much to do with how this movie turned out. Lee said the story was meant to focus on Selene. She said it was supposed to be a story about a woman approaching 40 and reclaiming her sexuality and rediscovering herself just at the point that society traditionally writes women off. That's a cool angle, but that's not what this movie is about. This movie is about what if Harry Styles dated a mom? Because even though the source material is written by a woman and it's probably amazing, this film is written and directed by this man. This is the man responsible for Wet Hot American Summer. Now, I love Wet Hot American Summer. I think it's hilarious. But I think movies made for women and about women that are presumably supposed to be watched by women should be directed by actual women. There's almost nothing about The Idea of You that lives in the realm of reality. Everything they do, from driving to Silver Lake to Coachella for one night to see one show, to mistaking a trailer for a bathroom, to having a fan meet and greet at Coachella. Everything about this movie feels like the idea of something else. Selene is the idea of a gallerist in Silver Lake. Hayes is the idea of a pop star without the lack of sleep or greasy managers or any of the ugly stuff. Even Selene's comically pathetic ex-husband is the idea of an ex-husband that not even Meredith wants to hang out with anymore because he's so lame. And these wildly out-of-touch details are really what makes this movie feel like a fanfic, not the Harry Styles character. Now, I love movies with fantasy sequences that show how falling in love feels like a fantasy, but I'm getting tired of movies where the whole basis of the romance is something that could almost never actually happen. There actually is another movie with almost the exact same premise as The Idea of You that got way less marketing and attention, but that I thought was way more romantic. It's called The Book of Love, and it's about an uptight geek played by Hot Sam Claflin, and he falls in love with his Mexican translator after she translates his boring English romance novel into a Spanish language bodice ripper. Maria, like Selene, is a single mom. She also has a pathetic ex-husband, and she also falls in love with a British heartthrob. They even make a Harry Styles joke. But this movie makes way more sense because the couple has to overcome actually practical obstacles together, like the language barrier, or the fact that Maria can't find childcare, so she has to take her dad and her son on the book tour, and they all drive around in Mexico in this tiny Volkswagen that keeps breaking down. It's an opposites attract story where the stakes are grounded, but the romance is fantastic. Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine have chemistry, they're good actors, and I believe in their attraction. So why did The Idea of You have to lean so hard into this unbelievable fanfiction element? The Idea of You could have hooked audiences with this fanfiction gimmick and then used it to explore actual issues an age gap couple might face. Like, what do you do when you get tired at 10 p.m. and your boyfriend wants to keep partying? Or better yet, it could have focused on Anne and how she's doing great at 40. Her daughter loves her. She has the most happening pots in all of Silver Lake. At the beginning of the movie, she's about to go camping by herself, and there's a scene where a bunch of men her age try to hit on her, and she rejects them. She doesn't want to get Thai food with her husband. She doesn't even want to give Hayes her name. Romance is not remotely a priority for this character, but the movie forces it to be. Then The Idea of You uses Hayes' fame as the basis for all of the couple's problems. Their biggest obstacle is the paparazzi. Gosh, I hate it when that happens. But here's the thing, you actually don't have to be Harry Styles to be a good partner. Good partners respect their partner's boundaries. They support their partner's goals. They emotionally validate their partners. When their partner says, I'm not comfortable smooching in this French restaurant like this, they say, okay, baby, let's smooch outside in the rain. The idea of you had potential. Maybe it could have even had notebook level status. It's ultimately harmless, but still disappointing. But you should watch it just for Anne Hathaway's incredible wig. What did you think? Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you buy it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you had a good time, like, subscribe, stick around, watch another video. But even if you don't do any of that stuff, I'm so glad you came by. Take care, everybody. Cheers.